we want to start by tracking your food and figuring out where you are. So what I would tell you to do, and anybody else listening, this can go for you. Track your food for the next 3 to 4 days and do not change a thing.
Mm.
Just track what you normally eat and drink. And it's okay if you're inconsistent. It's okay if you eat a lot today and next to nothing tomorrow, in the same day, and the same thing the third day, and then you eat a lot again the fourth day. It's okay. That's your life. Just average it out. So what you would do is take those 4 calorie numbers, add them up, and then divide by 4. That's your average calorie intake. Then, Ashley, we'll just use my calorie calculator. We'll put it in the show notes for everyone. Go there, figure out what your TDEE is, and then adjust from there.
Hey there, I'm Ashley, mom of 4 and creator of Reps and Redemption. Join me as I share my passion for health education, explore all things fitness and nutrition, plus share a little faith-filled homemaking along the way. If you're a mom ready to build strength and live a life of epic redemption, this podcast is for you. Let's get after it.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Reps and Redemption podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Harvey, and I am here today with a special guest. His name is Joe Hoye. He is based in Vermont, but he is an online coach that helps women in their 40s prioritize their fitness and feel healthy again. Hey, Joe, how are you? Introduce yourself. I am so excited that you are here.
Ashley, thank you very much. You did the intro for me, but to everyone listening, thanks for listening. I'm Joe.
Today, we were talking before I hit record. We're all kind of struggling in some way, shape, or form with our relationship with food. And there's so many things that I feel like I can talk to you about, even though I'm a mom, you're not a mom, and that's okay. I think you can teach me and a lot of people that listen to Reps and Redemption about healing our relationship with food. So where would we go? And I can give you an example, and maybe that could be our springboard to start this interview, that there's a lot, even in my family personally, where like, oh, Oreos are bad, or that's bad, or this is bad. And then we've got these camps of like all or nothing, where nope, you can't have any of that. If we think like that, and we're having a hard time, where could we start? I mean, I guess acceptance and realization would be the first step, but where would we start to heal our relationship with food, especially as a woman? I'm not 40 yet, but I will be next year, but entering my 40s, I still find myself doing that too. So what would you say to me?
Yeah, there's so many things that I want to tear apart from what you just said. Number one, I love the mindset that you have of, hey, Joe is a man. He's never going to be a mom. He's never going to go through menopause, but it doesn't mean he can't understand it, and it doesn't mean he can't help me. That is the biggest deciding factor of whether somebody gets results or not, is can you learn from anyone that has the answer you want?
Right.
So I love that. But I think that the first place we're going to start when it comes to fixing our relationship with food and really understanding, hey, we can have that Oreo or that donut, and we can still be successful when we have it, and we're not bad because of it, is taking off the glasses that we're currently wearing, putting a new pair on. What I mean by that is looking at things with a different perspective. Okay. And so when we take off these glasses of having good and bad foods, we put on a new pair where every food is simply food.
Right.
Okay. And that's it. But I think the best thing to do is to, number one, understand that if you're anything like the clients we work with, you are probably already under eating, meaning you're not having enough calories anyways. And so the fact that you're not having enough calories is a bigger problem than what type of calories those are.
Right. I
And
hear
so
that.
first, we want to get the amount of food we're eating down pat so that it's actually nourishing us. And then from there, we're going to start feeling better. We're going to have more energy. We're going to realize how much food we can actually eat. And ladies, I'm talking about you, not me. I'm talking about women 40 plus. And that number is generally 1,800 calories, 2,000, 2,400 sometimes, even more. And I'm going to be very realistic. If you're one of these people that has these good or bad foods in your head, getting to 2,400 calories on only, I'm putting quotations up, good foods is hard. You're going to be full. You're going to be eating all day long. And so what I actually want you to do is start eating foods that are more calorie dense. And oftentimes those are the foods that people consider bad. And so, no, I'm not telling you to eat Oreos all day, but I am telling you to have a treat once in a while because you've earned it and you're a human and your body can process it and be just fine as long as you eat mostly healthy foods.
That is so good, Joe. And I think too, like, I know we've heard a lot about this 80-20 rule, but I think it kind of pertains to what I try to do personally. And I talk a lot on Reps and Redemption about a lot of us don't eat enough. And if we're trying to prioritize our health, we have to fuel our bodies. And like you said, you basically just said food is food. And you made a point of what is going to nourish ourselves. And I love that you said that because we can eat all kinds of things, but maybe what would help is if we started seeing, you know what, I can have one or two Oreos, but if I eat the whole thing, the whole carton, or the whole tube of Pringles, I'm not going to feel great. And I think if we really understood that, you know what, you know how some people say, I can't eat that, or I can't, and they don't really know the reason why. Well, it's because you feel like crap afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how you brought up eating enough calories, because I've also heard this, you know, throughout even my own family members, other women at the gym that, oh, I haven't eaten since breakfast and it's already 5 p.m. And they're like, they're wondering why they have a headache. They don't feel good. And I'm like, well, you're not eating enough at all. And if I know this is kind of a lot of information, but I talk a lot on the show about muscle building, strength
Mm-hmm.
training, and me personally just trying to put on a certain amount of muscle. So let's say this woman who's listening to Reps and Redemption, and myself included, let's say we want to either A, maintain the muscle that we have gained, or B, put on more muscle. Would you start with 1,800 calories, or is that your starting place in general for 40 plus women, or would you add more after a certain amount of time of tracking?
Yeah, so that number, for anyone listening, that's just the made up number. I just picked that because we oftentimes see that our ladies are going to end up around 18 to 2,000 calories.
Mhm.
But what I would want everybody to do, and these are, you can find these anywhere online. I have one, but you don't have to use mine, is find a free online TDEE calculator. And so what that means is that's your total daily energy expenditure. So the amount of calories you burn from when you wake up to when you go to bed in terms of everything you do, digesting your food, talking, thinking, walking, breathing, going to work, chasing the kids around, working out, how many calories you burn from there. What everybody needs to do before anything else is figure out what that number is. And then to answer your question, Ashley, if somebody wants to maintain their muscle and not lose any weight, not change anything, then just eat that number and you're good to go. Prioritize your calories and your protein. And now, if you want to gain muscle, we're going to have to eat in what's called a calorie surplus. So, eating slightly more calories than our body needs. And on top of that, you're going to have to strength train. And so, what happens there is when you strength train, you really break your body down in a very small way, but you break it down and you add stress to it. And when you lift heavy weights, you tell your brain, hey, this is hard. And my muscles had a difficulty doing this. So now you need to make them stronger and grow these muscles bigger so that next time it's easier. And the only way you can do that is if you have extra calories stored in your bank, aka eating in a calorie surplus, to feed those muscles and grow them bigger. Right. And so that's what I would say to that.
That's a really good point. You know, I don't think I've brought up the TDE calculator on the show. I know I've done it several times, but finding out what your TDE, your total daily expenditure number is, would actually be really helpful. And it would, you know, I agree, it's probably not 110% exact, but it gives you a really good baseline on if you should be in, like you said, a calorie surplus or a deficit or just kind of like a maintenance area. Now, I have personally had a really big issue with, and everybody that listens to Reps and Redemption knows this, building my legs and my glutes. I'm going to be honest. And it's really difficult for me. My upper body, fine. I'm getting up there, and I still lift really heavy when it comes to my lower body. However, I started training jujitsu like 9 months ago now. So that's kind of taken over my life, and I'm still trying to
Nice.
lift as heavy as I was. So I'm wondering, what would you say to that as a coach, knowing, and if I had to guess, I wear the Whoop. So I have the Whoop. I'm getting like an idea of how much I'm burning. Probably at minimum, my husband will look at the Whoop and he'll be like, your strain is like 18.2. You haven't even gone to the gym yet. I'm like, we have 4 kids. Like we're a playground. We're going, you know what I mean? And so it's that on top of training jujitsu, on top of training at the gym 5 days a week. Would you say I'm having a hard time building quads, for example, because the lack of, would you say calories? Would you say I would need a surplus? Or on days I train jujitsu, would I need a surplus of carbohydrates? Like I'm really concerned and I'm trying to figure it out. But I also know that tracking, would you say, would be key to start figuring it out more closely? I
Number
see
one, you
you
need to be
shaking your
tracking.
head.
But I love where this conversation's going. So if you, because I used to wear a Whoop, I don't have it anymore, but I used to. If you're getting you get an 18 every day, roughly.
Not every day. So I'll hit, let's see, just walking around. If I open it up now, I was walking around outside and I took care of the kids this morning before we left. So my daily strain before I even train jujitsu, let's say, is a 10. And then if it's jujitsu and weightlifting, I'll hit anywhere from, oh gosh, anywhere from 12.5 to 20. It just kind
Okay.
of depends on how heavy I'm lifting at the gym. And then am I also cleaning the house? Am I playing with the kids outside? So I would say it's really rarely ever on a daily basis under 12 to 14. Very rarely under that. I
Okay.
would have to be doing like just sitting. So, but I think my heart rate gets a lot. I don't know if it's beats per minute or it doesn't take much. Like I find that sometimes I burn more just taking care of my home, making bread, chasing the kids than during my workout. And I don't know if it's
Yeah.
because that's a longer period of time. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, talking about the Whoop, weightlifting's really not going to bring your strain up too much. It's more of
Right.
that cardiovascular strain that jacks it up. So that makes sense to me. On those days where you're hitting 12 strain, calorie burn's probably pretty normal. But when you get to 14, it's getting up there. And when you're at 18 or 20 strain, you got to eat. That's a lot of calories you burned. And I know that because when I had like 18 or 20 point strains, I was working. So
Yeah.
like you're working hard.
Yeah.
So there's no surprise to me that through being a mom, all the things that come from that, cleaning the house, doing jujitsu, strength training, you're having difficulty building your leg muscles. Now, the thing that I think is interesting and really cool about you is that most women have a stronger lower body than they do an upper body. So that's, you should be proud of that. Number one, that's awesome. Um, but number two, yes, we want to start by tracking your food and figuring out where you are. So, what I would tell you to do, and anybody else listening, this can go for you, track your food for the next 3 to 4 days and do not change a thing.
Mm.
Just track what you normally eat and drink. And it's okay if you're inconsistent. It's okay if you eat a lot today and next to nothing tomorrow, in the same day, in the same thing the third day, and then you eat a lot again the fourth day. It's okay. That's your life. Just average it out. So, what you would do is take those 4 calorie numbers, add them up, and then divide by 4. That's your average calorie intake. Then, Ashley, we'll just use my calorie calculator. We'll put it in the show notes for everyone. Go there, figure out what your TDEE is, and then adjust from there. So I'm assuming if you're not gaining muscle or getting stronger, then you're either eating in a slight deficit or you're eating at maintenance.
Right.
If you're eating at maintenance, you can definitely get stronger, but you won't put on a lot of mass or muscle mass.
Okay.
Okay. And then if you want to gain some size, don't worry. I know you probably understand this, but for anyone listening, if you eat in a surplus, you're not going to look like Arnold in a month.
Right.
Like it takes work and time. But if you want to do that, I would start to eat in like a 200 calorie surplus to start and just track everything. Track your measurements, track your weights in the gym. How much are you lifting? Is that increasing? Track your weight on the scale weekly. And by eating 200 calories extra, that's a really small surplus.
Yeah.
You're going to gain very, very minimal fat but you will gain some. It's natural. It's easy to lose it. Don't worry. Especially as you gain that muscle, it gets easier. And just be consistent. So slight calorie surplus, lots of consistency, more recovery than exercise.
Mhm.
Because as I said before, exercise breaks us down and recovery builds us up. So if you're exercising more than you're recovering, you're actually making your body worse.
So that was basically my last three episodes on the realization of overtraining for me
Mhm.
personally, and also trying to help the listeners to the show start to prioritize their health and fitness. And I love what you said about track for a few days. What did you say? Divide that number by,
Mhm.
did you say 3 or 4?
However many days you track
However
is
many
however
you
many
track.
days you divide by.
If you're, and I love what you said about it, kind of like a light bulb just went off in my head. Like you can get stronger if you're eating at maintenance, but you won't really put on the mass that you want. Like bingo. I think that's the kicker. And that's exactly what I'm missing. Because I do feel like I'm getting stronger. The last several shows I've talked about overtraining for me personally. And I think you are so right. As moms, we tend to go, 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 go and push ourselves and forget that our bodies really truly need recovery. And I love that you pointed that out, Joe. I am seriously convicted. We need to hear it that it's okay to rest and recover. Would you say, with this tracking of our calories, just to begin and see where we're at, does that help us heal our relationship with food because we start to see, like you said, food is food. Food is to nourish us and also to give us energy. But we also see, like, wow, that's a lot of food, the high volume food you were talking about. And it's beautiful and colorful and it's filled with protein, it's filled with micronutrients. Do you think tracking helps us heal our relationship with food if we have that good and bad mentality?
It's very person dependent. If somebody is coming from a background of maybe eating disorders, and it doesn't really matter which,
Right.
tracking can be, I'm not going to say is, but can be kind of detrimental.
Mm.
Now, there's certainly ways to get around it, but it's a lot of like behavior change and mindset training. But for the ladies we work with, oftentimes, yes, we do see that it's very eye-opening because they think that, oh my God, they had that brownie at work the other day, and that's why they couldn't lose weight. When in reality, they're actually under eating by 700 calories a day and still not losing weight. Like the problem isn't the brownie or the calories that were in the brownie. The problem is that you've been starving your body for the last several months or even years. When they realize that,
Mm.
and then they start to follow our diet detox protocol and feel better, and I suggest that they eat that brownie just to prove to them they can still feel better. When they realize that, like, then it all comes together. So tracking is certainly part of it.
I love that. And I think too, a lot of the things we need to hear sometimes from multiple people. Like my husband has really been pushing me, just track more, babe. You don't track enough. And I've said it like I get into it for like a week and then I like just fall off. I'm like, oh, I know what my protein looks like, so I'll just keep it at that. But you don't know what you don't know. And you can't possibly know the full picture if you're not really keeping track. Would you suggest if somebody was just starting to at least track their protein and then maybe carbs? Or is there, like you mentioned your detox program. So is there like steps in that program that you have to really get someone to pay attention to what they're putting in their body?
For sure. So I was actually just going to ask a question to you because you said you have difficulty tracking. I was going to ask, why is it difficult to do that consistently? And what are the things that you normally track?
I've gone through waves of really liking it, and I've used Carb Manager and My Fitness Pal, and then my husband right now he uses the Chronometer. Is that the right
Mhm.
word? I think. Yeah, I know that one's really good for micronutrients. I think I don't have an excuse, like a good excuse, to be honest. Like, because I eat very similar, in the morning. My breakfast is usually 1 to 3 different things. My lunch is very similar. So it is quite repetitive to track, anyways. And I think it's those little spoons of, this or that you
Mhm.
don't, you know what I mean? You're like, okay, if I don't put it in, I didn't really eat it, or I didn't, you know what I mean? I think that
Right.
kind of fly under the radar a little bit and on it ultimately cheat myself out of knowledge that I could really know.
Mhm.
And I think that, yeah, honestly, there's really especially when it comes to prioritizing your health and wanting to put on the mask that I personally want to put on. I've talked about on the show. Aesthetics are not everything, but to me, they have a place, and that's just my personal preference. And it's not for everybody. But I heard this on, I can't remember whose podcast this was or what show, but he was saying, he was talking about him and his wife, and they don't do bodybuilding competitions. I did them when I was a lot younger. And my sister did them as well. But he said, we don't do them, but we want to look like we do them. And I
Yeah.
like, I just love that. And, when you go and you try to prioritize it as well, and, your kids are watching you. And when I first had my first, like, she would go with me and we'd go to the stroller strides mom group, and then she'd work out at we used to live in apartments when we were a smaller family, and she would see me, and now she tries to do it, and I want them to enjoy it. So I think that tracking, circling back, is just kind of me not tracking is just kind of I don't have a good excuse, honestly. And I don't, when we really want to do something, especially as women in our 30s, 40s, I believe really, if we really want to do something, we find a way to get it done. Because ultimately, in my opinion, a lot of moms I know, moms that I listen to the show, they love the Lord, they love their family so much, they want to be healthy. I think it's just a little bit more of like accountability that's missing.
Mhm.
So
Okay, I get that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. Number one, you don't need a good excuse to not do something. Like, if that's fine. That's kind of what coaching is a part of, is figuring out deep down what your block is on that. But number two, just to touch on this real quick, I don't believe people that say they don't care about looking good.
Mm,
I
I agree.
like why would you not be okay with looking better and feeling better about yourself?
Right.
Um, it doesn't need to be the main thing. I
Right.
think the main thing is a great, like, if you want to be healthy and that's the main reason, amazing. If you want to live longer for your kids, even better. But you better believe that if you do that, looking better is going to be a side effect, and I don't think you're going to be upset that you look better. Now, in terms of tracking, like for you and anybody that's kind of resonating with you, Ashley, let's just keep it simple, right? Because, I mean, let's face it, you're a mom and you're going to be 40, and life does not get slower. It's only going to get busier.
Yep.
And if you have something that is overcomplicated and you're supposed to look at your calories, your protein, your carbs, your fat, your dietary fiber, your added sugars, and your micronutrients, you're not going to do it.
Right.
But if I'm just like, hey, Ash, why don't you track your calories for the next 3 days? We'll go from there. And then what you didn't realize is that you've actually been tracking your protein too. You just didn't look at it on purpose. And so at the end of those 3 days, like, hey, can you tell me what your calories were? You tell me that. I'm also like, you know what? It tracked your protein. Do you mind just telling me where you're at there? As a matter of fact, you did track it. You just didn't pay attention. And
Wow.
then we have this data that we can start going for later. And for the general population clients that we work with, we will never have them track their carbs or their fat, because their goal is usually fat loss. And the only two things we need to look at for that in nutrition are going to be calories. That determines whether you lose weight, maintain, or gain. And then protein, that determines what kind of weight it is that you're losing or gaining. Is it fat or muscle? And of course, we always want to gain muscle. We always want to lose fat. And that's going to massively change our body composition, our level of health, how long we are around for our kids, and how good we look.
What you said, nail on the head there with longevity. I know that's a huge reason for myself and a lot of moms that listen to the show, because it is important. I told you before we started the show, my 22-year-old, I'm a younger mom for her. But for my 7-year-old, 2-year-old, and 1-year-old, I'm an older mom. And like, I have to, like, I'm in this weird place of like, I'm really young and people think we're sisters. And then I'm like here, and it's really fun. And I would not trade it for anything. But longevity wise, I believe that we should keep it simple. And I think that is where we're going to see the most success. Because like you said, if I have to think about all of these things on top of all the other things, maybe that's like analysis paralysis. Like there's just too much, and I have to feed 4 humans right now. You know what I mean? Like, and I like that you said keeping it simple, And longevity wise, if we're consistent with keeping it simple in our nutrition and our fitness, we will automatically see physical aesthetic changes that we're probably going to be happy about. And ultimately, when I am tracking, and I noticed this as you were talking, I was like, what do I see differently? When I am tracking and I'm consistently tracking, I feel better. And I
Mhm.
think it's because I'm just trying to, when I am tracking, and I think a lot of the audience will understand if they start to track, they're going to feel better because they're going to make it a point to get in healthier food as well. Because it's almost like that is the accountability. So I'll move forward with no excuses for us to start tracking because we deserve to feel better. We need that energy. We need to be really prepared to chase our kids around the backyard. I don't know about you, but I do that every day at 4 o'clock, and it's fun and exhausting. Joe, I want you to tell me. We have a few minutes before we need to wrap up. How does the process with you coaching? I know your specialty and your company's specialty is you help women 40 plus really fall in love with fitness again and get healthy. What does that process look like? And within that process, can you let everyone know where to find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do mostly work with women 40 plus, but Ashley, someone like you would actually be great because if we can catch this earlier, that's better because once you enter your 40s, we know that you're losing, what is it? It's 1% of your muscle mass year after year. When you hit your 50s, that doubles to 2%. When you
Mhm.
hit your 60s, that quadruples to 4%. And so if you're not prioritizing protein, being mindful of it in strength training to fight back against that, that longevity, that functional life that you have is going to go away fast.
Right.
So the three things that we do for every single client is number one, we take them through our diet detox phase. What
Mm.
that is really just detoxifying your body from the damage that past diets have done. And I
Wow.
mean that both in your mind, so the bad relationships with food, we're going to handle that, and in your body, the stress that literally starving your body has done to you. After that, then we'll move our clients into a fat loss phase.
Nice.
And the fun part of that is because we went through that first phase, they oftentimes get to eat more food than they were when they started with us and still see weight loss, which is great. For the first 4 years of me doing this, I wasn't looking at the big picture. And all I would do is help people lose weight and I would send them on their way. But the problem with that is I never taught them how to keep it off. And so now I have what I call our keep it phase or our graduation phase. And that's really showing you that you don't need to use MyFitnessPal or Carb Manager or a chronometer for the rest of your life. And you don't need to meal prep on Sundays. And you and your husband or the kids can go get ice cream. And as a matter of fact, when you pull on your favorite work clothes on Monday, they still fit how you want them to. And when you realize you can do that and you have the freedom to live how you want, you're done. We don't work together anymore.
Wow.
So that's how our coaching works.
I absolutely love that you set people up for success and longevity. Ultimately, you're setting them up to be able to take care of themselves and then also to pass it on to their kids. I'm so excited that we got to meet Joe, and if you will have us again, I would love to have you on Reps and Redemption to talk about falling in love with fitness during midlife and for midlife. There's a lot of us in our late 30s, 40s, and I have a couple of listeners in their 50s and 60s that are trying to prioritize their health and their fitness. And I think that would be a phenomenal episode to do later this fall. So, what do you say?
I would love to. I'd also love to have you on my podcast if you'd
Excellent.
have it.
Let's set it up.
All right, let's go.
So, Joe, tell everyone where they can find you. I know you were talking about coaching earlier, and I know that there's going to be a lot of listeners who are interested, and also share your show as well.
Yeah, for sure. So the show's not out yet, but when
Okay.
this episode comes out, it probably will because I have a lot of episodes banked. It's called Menopause from a Man. And I
Nice.
did that to hopefully get a little bit of eyebrow raises. But you guys can find me by searching that. You can search my name, that'll probably be in the bio. It's Joe Hoye. You can find me just about everywhere. And if it's okay with you, Ashley, if anybody resonated with what we just kind of chatted about and they're like, wow, what he just kind of took Ashley through makes sense. As a thank you to you and as a thank you to your audience, I'd love to give one listener that resonated with all of that the chance to win 3 months of free coaching with us.
Oh my gosh, Joe, you are a saint. That is absolutely amazing. And I am so thankful that you came on the show today.
I love it. I'll make you a quick link to put in the show notes for that. I will include the free calculator that we talked about. I can't wait to chat again.
If this episode inspired you, will you share with a friend? Remember, this podcast offers health education tips and holistic insights. Please consult healthcare professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, Mama, be bold and live well.